I'm Gary and this is the Room Drams. How you doing, folks, and welcome back to another wee episode here in the dining room. If it's the first time you've popped onto the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button and give us a wee thumbs up on the videos so that we can help the channel grow. Okay then, so what we're going to grab tonight, I've got for a wee Laphroaig 10. Most people out there will be familiar with Laphroaig, but we'll just do a quick run over. It's an Islay whisky. That's from the Isle of Islay, which is off the west coast of Scotland. Is it 9/10 distilleries on Islay. They often get a reputation for being the more peated whiskies, and people sort of will often generalise peated whiskey as Islay whiskey. You know, they kind of often forget that there are a number of non-Islay peated whiskies. So it can throw a few people off. And if we go conversely with that, there are whiskies that come out of Islay that are not peated. So it's a bit of a, you know, tarring all with one brush sort of thing, thinking that all Islay whiskies are peated. They're not. That being said, Laphroaig, this one here, is peated. So this is the Laphroaig 10. Let's get it in the glass and just do a couple more wee things about Laphroaig. Laphroaig is one of the more popular Islay whiskies. It is owned by Beam Suntory Group, which is a kind of American-Japanese group. They have a number of sort of spirits and whiskey sort of lines, if you want, and based on the name Beam, you can also imagine Jim Beam in America, and so it's quite a large organisation. The Laphroaig distillery itself has a number of whiskies that it puts out. You would often think 10 has been their sort of the lower rung of the ladder, but there's actually one called Laphroaig Select, which is a non-age statement. Then there's the 10, and then it goes through. There's so many. There's PX cask, quarter cask, QA cask. There's lower, and then there's various age statements. There's quite a lot out there within Laphroaig, and as I said, it's one of these quite often popular ones. And if you ask people often about what whiskies they know from Islay, it's kind of Laphroaig is the one that gets thrown out there. So we've got the 10 in the glass. Okay, it's a 40% dram, so it's your standard. It's 10 years old, and we're going to have a wee sniff at it. If I linger a little bit on this, please fast forward to the next bit. Fantastic, peaty, smoky, sort of salty brininess about it, but there's an underlying sweetness. It's nice. If you've ever had a dram of whiskey and you haven't got around to washing the glass that night, and then you go to it the next day, if it's a peaty whiskey and you've left that glass overnight, and you know, with just the sort of the remnants on the glass, and you smell that sort of absolutely gorgeous sweet peat coming through, and it's kind of like that there now. It's just lovely. Some people often go on about a sort of iodine or medicinal influence coming over on the peated whiskies. I don't see that myself. I don't get this medicine thing, or people going about band-aids and stuff like that, you know, sticky plasters and things, and I don't get that. I just get like a sweet smokiness coming through. It's lovely. I probably sniffed it a wee bit too much there. So we taste. When it comes into the mouth, it doesn't disappoint from the nose. It's still slightly stronger, I would say, on the palate than it is on the nose. Again, some people go on about with peated whiskies, particularly I think with Laphroaig, quite often talk about almost a tobacco influence in it. Don't get it on the nose, it comes through on the palate. There's a lovely sort of tobacco influence there, smokiness, and then that sweetness comes over, kind of gets you at the buckle of the mouth. Lovely. Peated whiskies is quite often a hit or a miss with some folk. You know, you eat it, if you're in the UK or out in Australia and you talk about Marmite and things like that, when they're going about love it or hate it. And it's quite often got peated whiskies, you either love it or you hate it. There's quite that fine, sorry not fine, quite a hard line really. But that being said, there has been, and I've seen people do it, where they're quite often repulsed by peated whiskey. And then it kind of grows on them. So when you take a breath of air in when you do it as well, it just influences those flavours so much more, enhances it flowing through the mouth. I was chatting to somebody online about peated whiskies a few days ago, and they were talking about how they really didn't like it and how people could like it. And I used a couple of analogies, but it's like sometimes when you get a tattoo, people going about tattoos are addictive, but they're painful. You know, it's like an addictive pain. And quite often, peated whiskey is like that. There's something not quite right about it, but you love it. You know, that tasting something that people often describe as being burnt rubber or seaweed. There's such a coastal saltiness and things like that. And you think that shouldn't be what I'm enjoying. You know, I shouldn't really be tasting that and thinking that tastes fantastic. And then you go back to it and you drink some more. And you think, oh, that's just bad. And then you want some more. And I'm a fan of Laphroaig. Or as Joe will tell you, we have a joke, it's Laphroaig. And I'm a fan of it. Amy can't stand the stuff. She hates the smell of Laphroaig, and when I sit and have a dram of this, you know, she knows when I walk into the room, she'll just look at me, you've got Laphroaig. I just think it's a fantastic dram. I've got some other Laphroaigs over there. I think I've actually done the PX cask on there, sort of that sherry influence with the peated influence, and it's just fantastic. I'm maybe bumping a little bit too much here. You know, when you do these reviews, you want to try and be sort of you want to be open about it and admit to not liking something if something's good and if something's bad. And I don't actually, maybe on the initial mouthfeel, on the 10-year-old, there's maybe a little bit of a wateriness, you know, it doesn't quite have, but for me, that full mouthfeel, I'm kind of playing with it in the glass there. And the legs are there, but they're maybe not, you know, that heavy legs. Not even sure if everybody understands that. Quite often when you take a whiskey and you put it around a glass, and you let the whiskey sort of coat the inside of the glass and go back down, you can watch the whiskey sort of running back down into the bowl of the glass. And people will call this the legs. These are the sort of the streaks of whiskey coming back down. And quite often with that, it's almost like the residue will be heavy and sticky, and it'll slow it come back down, or it'll be really light and it'll just run straight back down. Most quite often you hear people talk about having a full body or a light body or medium body, things like that. It's more, if it's a heavy thing and it's taking its time to go back down, you maybe want to reference that as a full body. Whereas, if it just disappears straight away, it's really quite watery. You might want to talk about it having a really, sort of a light body or something like that. And to me, there's it's edging maybe more slightly waterier than some other whiskies that you'll have. Clutching at straws or finding things that are wrong, and that's not really what you should do. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. Don't find things to talk about that are bad about it just because you feel you should. I like Laphroaig. I enjoy this. The 10-year-old is, for me, a decent dram, and a 70cl bottle knock you out about £35. You'll find it slightly higher, and sometimes you'll find on specials and deals. I think at the moment, one of the supermarkets not too far from me has got the 10 on it, £28. No brainer really. Get it on your shelf. Slange.